It's your boy SYNTELL with the Intel, getting ready for part 3 of DANGAL. It's been an interesting ride so far. Thank you so much for hanging out. If this is your first time watching part 3, make sure you click the link in the description to catch up with parts 1 and 2. And of course, if you want to see the long form version, the unedited version, because we have to reduce this one due to copyright restrictions, you can check out Jaby's Patreon page. Get that subscription, totally worth it. Sync up your version of Netflix or any other streaming service that happens to be playing this with the subscription that is in the Patreon account, and you'll be like watching it with one of your closest friends. You haven't hit the subscription button, what are you doing? Click that bad boy, give us those thumbs up.
I'm very proud of Geeta. जो strategy मैंने बनाई लड़की ने उसको follow किया.
Look at trying to steal the credit.
हमेशा से गीता पे भरोसा था. आज नहीं तो कल. इसने तो इंटरनेशनल मेडल लाना ही था.
Spinning her all the way around. Goodness.
महावीर जी.
समीर भाई.
बधाई हो महावीर सिंह जी. बहुत बढ़िया लड़ी गीता. मतलब मलाली का नाम रोशन कर दिया जी. यो छोरिया तो अड़ गई. बोली गीता दीदी का मैच वहीं जाके देखना है. नहीं तो खाना नहीं खाना.
वो महावीर सिंह ऑडियंस में बैठ के गीता को इंस्ट्रक्शंस दे रहा है. कंफ्यूज हो रही है बेचारी. उसकी सुने हमें से तो आपकी सुननी चाहिए. नहीं सर, वैसे सुन मेरा ही रही है, वरना वो फाइनल तक वो
प्रॉब्लम क्या है? आपको तो ब्रॉन्ज चाहिए था ना. हो सकता है कल गीता गोल्ड जीत जाए.
I'm surprised she's made it so far, but I'm happy for her. Should be an interesting final tomorrow.
Oh, listen to the ominous music.
Any pressure before the finals?
Yeah, I'm sure she must be under tremendous pressure. I've beaten her twice. First round? Yeah, first round. So thank you and namaste.
Oh, the disrespect. You know what you got to do now? You got to rub her face in and just
What strategy क्या है पापा?
कल की बस एक ही स्ट्रेटजी है बेटा.
When?
तन्ने इस तरह लड़ना है कि लोग तन्ने याद रखें. गोल्ड जीती तो मिसाल बन जाएगी. मिसालें दी जाती हैं बेटा, भूली नहीं जाती. कल तो जीतेगी तो अकेले नहीं जीतेगी. मेरे साथ उनके जैसी लाखों छोरियां जीतेगी.
Gotta do it for the culture. Do it for the children.
कल का मुकाबला सबसे बड़ा मुकाबला है बेटा, क्योंकि कल तो सिर्फ उस ऑस्ट्रेलियन से नहीं बल्कि उन सब से लड़ेगी जो छोरियों के बारे में ऐसा सोचते हैं.
You know what you're doing it for.
सर वो रेसलिंग फेडरेशन के चेयरमैन साहब आपसे मिलना चाहते हैं. कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट बात.
हाँ मिल लूंगा भाई. अभी मेरी बेटी का मैच.
बड़े आदमी है, बुरा मान जाएंगे. इधर 2 मिनट का काम है बस यहीं पर. आइए ना.
तू चल, मैं आता हूँ.
आइए.
Uh-oh. I hope nothing crazy happens. Look, he gonna try and get...
मेरे पापा को जाता है. जा, ले ले क्रेडिट.
Shiesty is shady. She gonna try and lock him in the room.
You can't let him, right?
Damn. Oh, snake in the grass. Yeah, man, bust out that. There we go. It's just a window. Yeah, there we go.
गीता द्वारा बचाव की कोशिश. शानदार डिफेंस. एंजेलिना अभी भी अटैक करती हुई. एंजेलिना का अटैक. गीता का काउंटर अटैक.
Boom.
जल्दी कोशिश करनी होगी एंजेलिना को. ये एंजेलिना का अटैक. गीता का काउंटर अटैक.
Oh, nice.
गीता 5, एंजेलिना 1. और इसी के साथ ये पहला राउंड गीता ने बड़े ही आसानी से.
Okay. Yeah, he's like, yo, I got to get you.
ये वो गीता नहीं है जिसे उन्होंने पहले कई बार आसानी से हराया है.
There is no way he's gonna find her.
ये गीता फिर से कोशिश करती हुई. गीता को. अगर गीता ये 2 पॉइंट.
There we go.
गीता के पास अभी भी 4 पॉइंट की लीड. और ये 1 पॉइंट.
Ouch.
गीता 4. गीता पूरी कोशिश करती हुई. ज्यादा वक्त नहीं है उनके पास. इसी के
Dang. Third round. What is we gonna do?
क्या कर रही है गीता? जीत सकती थी ना मैच.
Come on, man. Come up with something. Grab a stick and break that window out or something.
पर अटैक करती हुई. गीता द्वारा वापसी की कोशिश पर एंजेलिना उन्हें कोई भी मौका नहीं देती हुई।
Come on.
गीता थोड़ी सी मुश्किल में और ये पॉइंट और एंजेलिना को। एंजेलिना
Come on, man.
एंजेलिना के पक्ष में झुकता हुआ।
Come on, Javier. I need you to show up, man, or something. Call a timeout.
गीता की कोशिश जारी और ये गीता का अटैक और पॉइंट एंजेलिना के नाम। एंजेलिना 5 गीता 1।
Come on now, you know you gotta do the rainbow 5-point joint. Give me the rainbow. Spin it around, come on.
हर जगह तन्ने बचाने तेरा पप्पा ना आवेगा। मैं तन्ने सिर्फ
When did
लड़ना
this
सिखा
happen?
सकूं, पर लड़ना तन्ने खुद है।
Save yourself.
सिर्फ 22 सेकंड रह गए हैं और गीता अभी भी 4 पॉइंट से पीछे है।
Come on, give me the rainbow.
5 पॉइंट वाला दाव लगाना मुश्किल है।
There we go.
दाव दिखाना कुछ है और लगाना कुछ।
Got her.
ये समय उनका साथ देगा।
Oh, yeah. Nice. Woo. Oh, yeah, that's golden. We know that's good.
It's a goal
5.
for गीता। जिसकी किसी को भी कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स में गोल्ड जीतने वाली वो पहली भारतीय महिला रेसलर बन गई है। Well done, गीता। A proud moment for India indeed.
Yeah. Oh, that's gotta be nerve-wracking. You hear the cheers and applause, but you don't know who it's for.
पता नहीं, आए तो मेरे साथ ही थे।
Dang, he missed the award, the gold medal award ceremony and everything. Dang.
और अब जैसे कि प्रथा है गोल्ड मेडल जीतने वाले देश का राष्ट्रगान होगा।
Oh, that's how he knows he hears the national anthem? Yes. That's how it's supposed to go down. Yeah, man, you did that. Yeah, bye. Yeah, man, we did it. That's a lot of hard work.
ताऊ जी के मुंह से वो गोल्डन शब्द निकला जिसे सुनने के लिए हमारे कान पिछले 10 साल से तरस गए थे।
शाबाश।
Oh man, they always give me. They always give me the proud moments. Oh, okay. Hey! Back-to-back medals. That's what I'm talking about. The family's medaled out. Dang, and she won the next one? Nice. First ever. Wow. 29 medals in international wrestling. Wow. I can reach your prayers if it is for thousands of girls across India to wrestling. If you've been a fan of watching some of the reactions that I've had the privilege to do, you know I love me some sports movies. The underdog stories, starting from the bottom and working yourself up to championship levels, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, all of that good stuff. This absolutely has it. Aamir Khan just delivers. He's just ridiculously consistent. And what's really consistent and dope about him, this particular project, is that, he uses a lot of like small moments. He doesn't have to be like over the top in order to get the point across. It doesn't have to have like really big actions to get the point across. They like really take their time and let like some of these scenes just sit for a moment and just let it like it gets all in your bones, right? It's all in your chest and in your brain and everything. He's just a master craftsman as an actor. First things first, the fight choreography that was involved in this, I don't know how closely Gita was to actually doing the choreography or who the coaching was or whatever. It won the day for me. It felt very authentic. Now, I'm not a huge wrestling fan, so I can't speak to the specifics of the depths of that authenticity, but just as somebody that is a fan of watching just sports movies in general, it seemed very authentic to me. Both versions of young Gita and old Gita, they both like were absolutely killed it. Both of them were masterclass in making sure that what we're seeing looks authentic. I enjoyed both parts of the story because to me it was in two parts. It was the young version of the family and then the older version, the one that's already like had their teeth cut their teeth with the taste of victory and figuring out what that next level is going to be and the importance of, staying the course if you want to become a champion. There's a really poignant moment in the second half where Gita has to kind of like decide like what path do you want to go on, and it's really conflicting because on one hand, she's got this freedom in order to discover who she could be, as far as like being with the rest of us mere mortals, right? Doing things like going shopping and growing your hair out and going to movies and eating sweets and not necessarily training as hard as you can to enjoy like the other side of life. But it's not really easy for you to have both worlds if you want to compete on a championship level. It takes a lot of time and just dedication and sticking to it and building the habits so that you can have a champion identity. And when her little sister, who has been, doing the work, her little sister, Babita, who's been doing the work and understood like where she came from as to why she's been able to achieve all of this greatness. It was a great reminder to Gita. And those moments when Babette first shows up and she looks like an adult, she carries herself like an adult, and she's come to the national facility, to put in work. And her sister's like, yeah, let me show you like the cafeteria and all of that. Yeah, but that ain't trying to see no cafeteria. She's like, where's the training facility? Look, where can I go so that we can level up and I can get these hands right so that, we can fulfill Papa's dream. And it was a really good wake-up moment. And I'm not sure if she would have been able to have that wake-up moment, at least as far as the story is concerned, without her sister's involvement, who was like a direct voice of her father, and then allowed her to take the time to humble herself and call her father and let her know that she needs help. Anybody can get lost in the world, especially if it's like your first time from home. And she just got lost in the world, and it slipped away from her to the point where she almost couldn't get it back if she didn't have the necessary help that she needed. But even before then, in order to form somebody with a certain type of pedigree, a lot of times you have to start really young, and the sacrifices that come to going down a certain path are very difficult, and it's easy for you to be ostracized, right? To be frowned down upon in the community. Everybody in her village had jokes to say. They was talking trash about the girls, talking trash about the mom, talking trash about Mahavir, everything, because it fits outside the norm. The reason why champions are so few and far between and people that do great things are so few and far between is because they have to move in a space that's different than everybody else. And a lot of times that space is frowned upon, but if you want to be great, then you can't do the things that normal people do, and I think Mahavir knew that. He knew that in order for him to be the best person that he could be, he had to give up his greatness. He couldn't have both. He couldn't be great and still be, the father that he wanted to be and put food on the table and stuff. So he had to sacrifice it. And then, he bet it all on the hope of having like some sons in order to carry on his legacy. It didn't work that way. But the funny thing about, life and God is that life never gives you the path that you're expecting. You may want certain things out of life, but life is going to have like its own way of giving it to you. And he gave it to him in the form of daughters. Who would have known that they would have just picked up, from not even full training, just, they've hung around their tough, get it done father. And when the little boys came to pick on him, they happily gave him that handwork. It's like, listen, don't get it twisted. I'm Mahavir's daughters. You put your hands on me if you want to. I think one of my favorite characters in the show was the cousin, Umkar. Both versions, the casting was done so well. We'll talk about it a little bit later regarding like the young version of everybody and the older version, but both versions of Umkar, the character just in general of the cousin, who has to, I'm sure he has to be humble in a lot of different ways because, you're getting beat by girls, right? I had a really, really good close family friend, and she was older than me, she was bigger than me, she was faster than me, and she was stronger than me. And it used to absolutely bother the hell out of me because I couldn't beat her in anything. I couldn't beat her in a foot race. We could be wrestling, she'd whoop me up. I just couldn't beat her. And it's embarrassing, especially, where I came from, to be getting beat up by a girl and beat in everything by a girl. She was big, she was even smarter than me. She was just dope. But sometimes that's just what it is. It's not a gender thing. It's just, it's just what it is. Sometimes people are just going to be better than you, and I had to swallow my pride. But this guy, the poor cousin, he had to take them L's for years on end. Like mine, I only had to get embarrassed a couple of times, a month when my friend would come and visit me. Her name was Erica. When Erica would come and visit me. So I feel bad for him, but he did it for the team, he did it for the family, he did it, he pushed aside his own feelings in order for the greatness of the family, which is good as well. There's another unsung hero that I really liked too, a really small part, but was done really well, and that was the guy that was selling the chicken in the village. He's like, why in the world would I give out a chicken for a quarter of the price, a fraction of the price? And of course, Mahavira, in all of his great wisdom, he was able to see the angles, and he was like, listen, man, when my daughters get on, they will come here, they want to know, how it happened. I just think it was a great, perfect example of how the community can uplift everybody if given the chance. Another great lesson is with Mahavira is knowing that sometimes you have to make your way in order for your dreams to come true. And he did that numerous times. Like one, when they were training in the dirt, he just went out into the plot of land that he owned, cleared it, turned it into a fight pit, into a wrestling pit so they could do the mud wrestling. And then stacking his daughters against what people would think are unspeakable odds in order to build a foundation of confidence. Have them wrestling the boys, fine, whatever. I was nervous as a cat because I was like, oh man, she's gonna get injured. Because you do think that, the dominance of men, because men are just naturally stronger in a lot of different cases, but, skill plays a part in it. And she was trained by somebody who was a master craftsman at wrestling, and she put the smackdown up and down the cities, up and down the towns that she was competing in. Even the ones that she couldn't even get in, they still had respect. That was the thing that I really enjoyed, is that the people that really loved the craft, they just showed a lot of respect and made a lot of money regarding it. And then it just helps motivate, even more and more and more. And when you're making these sacrifices in order to become a champion, when you're in the middle of it, you don't get a chance to really recognize how far you've come, how far you've separated yourself from everybody else. And people take notice, and people, will start to, envy is a real thing that can happen as well. And you can become complacent as somebody that's going through the path to achieve greatness. And you saw that when the young girl who was going to become a bride listens to the girls complaining about how their father is just constantly on them nonstop. And she was like, I wish I had a father like that. Somebody that paid attention to me, somebody that didn't see me as some type of burden or force me into just cleaning the house and taking care of kids. Now, I know, culturally speaking, I know there's a lot of differences regarding what is the norm, but I thought this was pretty interesting regarding showing the options that are available, especially in modern times right now, and the rules are changing. And then to see somebody else recognize the fact that you were on a different path, it set them straight and grounded them and made them be like, all right, I'm gonna actually listen to my pops and see what he has to say. And then want it too. That's the other thing. It's people can show you the things that can make you be amazing and show you how to be great, but you have to want it yourself. You have to take those necessary steps, because if not, it's that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, or something to that effect. And that was the thing that they had to overcome. I'm glad that they had each other, and they get to, steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. And they got to, wrestle against themselves, amongst the family, amongst their father. And they just got better within just their own niche, within their own family. It reminded me a lot of Venus and Serena Williams. There was a movie by Will Smith that just came out maybe like last year called King Richard, and it's very similar to this. It tells the trials and tribulations of what a father has to do in order to turn his daughters into champions. And the similarities are so similar. In the tennis version with Venus and Serena, he had to teach them, the basics, sneak them into country clubs, do whatever it is that it took, have them playing in the rain, all kinds of stuff, until they got to a high enough level where he could kind of like pass off the tutelage and the coaching onto somebody else that was at a higher level. That's where this film and King Richard, the one that I'm talking about, separated, because in King Richard, Will Smith, who plays the father, realizes that in order for his daughters to reach like national level, they're going to have to get like a national coach, because he could only take them but so far. But in this version in Dangal, he was everything that she needed from the word go. He knew enough that there was no other next level outside of maybe the hustle and maybe listening a little bit more attentively to what her father had to say. But I do like that he was respectful. He was respectful enough to the organization to believe in the organization, even though they didn't know what to do with Gita. He was still respectful enough of the organization to not interfere until it got, to the point where, she was almost on like her last attempt, and then he stepped in. It was a family type of decision. And, sometimes the help you get may not be the help that's necessary to push you to the next level. Maybe there was a different coach that they could have done. But for the sake of this particular story, the best person that she could have listened to was her father. It did rub me the wrong way that the coach just all of a sudden just wanted to take the credit. That's a very real thing too. Somebody that doesn't necessarily do all of the work just happens to be there when you shine and then steals all of the credit for you, for themselves. I did like that whoever it was that was running the national team had picked up on it and noticed it. And he was like, well, if she's listening to you, then what does it matter if what somebody else is screaming from the rafters? It's just one of those things where he knew that, he's calling him on his bullshit for the most part. Now, I am curious if Mahavir Singh Fogat, I think that's his Fogat, if his character was really like locked in the broom closet. I would be curious to know if that really did happen. If it did, cool. But it wouldn't surprise me if it didn't. But it just adds to the legend of the storytelling. The thing I love about these movies, especially like movies that are in the States, is that they are like based loosely on true stories. And of course, some things get sensationalized, especially here with in Hollywood films. I would assume that it happens to just most storytelling. Most storytelling in general gets sensationalized. It's not about it being sensationalized. It's about the journey and the lessons that were learned that were on the journey. Those are the things that you keep, right? And what I've kept on this is just Gita's unwillingness to want to become the thing that her father dreamed for her, accepting it, excelling at it, becoming the best, overcoming the obstacle of doubt and maybe seeing fences greener fields, things are always greener on the other side kind of thing. Accepting her fall from grace for the moment, having the family have her back, listening to her father, giving her the good advice because it's coming from a place of love. All of that, it's just a really good like redemption story within like the hero story as well. Everything was stacked against it. Everything from money to even a disagreement between the mom and dad regarding if this is the right path to dealing with coaches, to all of it. Your path of greatness is going to have some sidetracks and some potholes. And, this is a great movie to give you an example of how you can overcome that. Man, I know that was a whole lot. I'm saying all that to say that I really enjoyed it. Everything was good. I know this whole rant that I've been going on has been like from the aspect of story, when I'm very like keen on like the technical parts too. And the technical parts were very good as well. I liked a lot of the shot selection. Sometimes a really good sign of a good story being told in cinema is that you don't see the technical parts. You're not so overwhelmed by all the gloss and shine and the camera movements that, it pulls you away from the story. Now, I am a fan of that because I just like the technique. Don't sweat the technique. I love the technique of cinema. But things were very subtle and done well enough that it didn't interfere. It didn't take me out of the story. There was no high-speed shutter and crazy frames and like insane one-shots and all that other stuff. It just really took its time and let the actors tell the story. It let the writers tell the story. It didn't have to lean on gimmicks and tricks. You know, it's just good and solid all the way around. Huge shout out to the actors and actresses. The versions of the kids throughout the years was amazing. I know Aamir Khan was the same character throughout the stages, except for the time when he was like CG'd into a younger version of himself, which was done really well. It wasn't distracting as well. It was just, the casting was just really good. The blending, it's really tough sometimes to get the blending from one generation into the next generation, but this was done pretty seamlessly from what I could see. Hey, let me know what you thought. This has been an absolute blast. You know, it's another Aamir Khan film, so you know, I'm always going to be happy. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next project is. Hey, SYNTELL with the intel. Hanging out on Jaby's channel, make sure you hit that subscription button if you haven't already, and of course give us that thumbs up, because that's how the algorithm knows that you're digging what we're giving you. That being said, peace out. I'm all at you.